All right, let's talk about two of the most notorious acronyms in all of finance: CDOs and CLOs. Yeah, I know, just hearing those letters might give you a flashback to the 2008 financial crisis. But don't worry, we're going to break this down and you'll see they're actually way simpler than you think.
So, you've probably heard these terms thrown around: CDO, CLO, and they sound kind of the same, right? So, what is the real difference? And more importantly, why should you even care? Let's dive right in because honestly, it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds.
Okay, before we even touch the technical jargon, let's start with a super simple analogy. I want you to picture a CDO as a mixed fruit basket. You've got apples, bananas, oranges, a little bit of everything. It's a whole bunch of different kinds of debt, all bundled together. A CLO, on the other hand, that's just a basket of apples. That's it, just one type of thing. And that one simple difference, well, that's the key to this whole thing. All right, so with that fruit basket idea locked in your head, let's put some official names to these things. First up, the Collateralized Debt Obligation, or CDO. This is our mixed fruit basket. It's basically a big structure that scoops up a ton of different kinds of debt. We're talking home mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, you name it. Then this giant bundle of debt gets sliced up into pieces and sold off to different investors. Now, what about the Collateralized Loan Obligation, the CLO? Well, that's our basket of apples. It's actually a specific type of CDO. The huge difference is that the pool of debt contains only one thing: corporate loans. And usually, these are loans to companies that already have a decent amount of debt. So here's the rule. Every CLO is a CDO, but not every CDO is a CLO. Simple as that. You know what? Let's try one more analogy, just to make sure this really sticks. Think of a CDO like a giant buffet thali. You know, that plate with a little bit of everything on it. You've got tons of different dishes, but you might not know the quality of every single one. A CLO, though, is more like a specialty paneer thali. Everything on the plate is based on that one core ingredient. And because it's so focused on just one thing, corporate loans, it's a heck of a lot easier for an investor to figure out the risk. Okay, so now we know what they are. But how are they actually built? Let's look under the hood at the key parts that make this whole machine work. There are really just two big concepts you need to get. The first piece of the puzzle is something called a special purpose vehicle, or SPV for short. The easiest way to think about this is as a separate legal container. It's like a box. A bank will create this brand new, totally independent company for one reason and one reason only: to buy and hold all those loans. Now, this SPV box is absolutely crucial, and it does three main things. First, it holds the pile of loans that backs up the whole investment. Second, it's the SPV itself that creates and sells the investments to people. And third, and listen up because this is the big one, it's legally separate from the bank that made it. They call this bankruptcy remote. It means if the original bank goes bust, the loans inside that SPV box are safe and protected. All right, the second key building block you need to know are tranches. Fun fact, the word is French for slice, and that's literally what they are. That big pool of debt sitting in the SPV gets sliced up into different layers of risk. Each slice, or tranche, is designed to be a different mix of risk and potential reward to attract different kinds of investors. So think of it like a pyramid. Right at the top, you have the senior tranche. This is the safest slice of the pie. It's the first to get paid when the loan payments come in, but in exchange for that safety, it offers the lowest return. Then, in the middle, you've got your mezzanine tranches. They're the middle ground, with medium risk and medium reward. And way down at the bottom, you have the equity tranche. This is the riskiest part. It's the first to lose money if loans start to go bad, but it also has the potential for the biggest reward. Okay, so we've got our definitions and we've got our key parts, the SPV box and the risk slices. Now let's put it all together and walk through how a CLO is actually created, step by step. The whole life of a CLO really makes a lot of sense when you see it laid out. First, banks just do what they do. They make loans to companies. That's the raw material. Then a CLO manager comes in and designs the whole deal, picking and choosing which loans to bundle together. That bundle then gets sold to our special box, the SPV. The SPV then issues those tranches, selling them to investors to get the cash. Now, here's a key step for CLOs. The manager actively trades the loans in the portfolio to keep things healthy. And finally, after about 7 to 10 years, the whole thing is wound down and investors get their money back. All right, we are now at the absolute heart of this entire structure. It's a mechanism called the cash waterfall. This is the simple set of rules that controls exactly how the money flows from the companies that borrowed it all the way down to the investors. Seriously, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Payments flow down, losses flow up. This one elegant little phrase governs the entire system. Let's see what that looks like in the real world.
When all those interest payments come in from the corporate loans, they don't just get thrown into a big pot. Oh no. There is a strict pecking order. First in line, you have to pay the bills, the admin fees and expenses. Then, the senior tranche investors, the safest ones, get their interest payment. After they're paid, the mezzanine tranches get their money, one by one. And only then, whatever cash is left over, it all flows down to the very bottom, to those equity tranche investors.
Let's put some really simple numbers on this. Say the loans bring in $50 million in interest. The waterfall kicks in. First, $5 million goes out the door for fees. Then, the senior investors get their $12 million. After that, the mezzanine folks get their cut. And would you look at that? After everybody else gets paid, there's still over $19 million left. That entire amount goes straight to the equity investors at the bottom. That right there shows you the high-risk, high-reward deal they signed up for.
So we've gone through how these things are built and how the money flows. But let's ask the so what question. Why does this difference between a messy, mixed bag CDO and a focused CLO actually matter out there in the real world? This really sums it all up. The collateral in a CDO could be pretty much anything. That's what made those subprime mortgage CDOs back in 2008 so dangerous. Nobody really knew what was inside. With CLOs, you know you're just getting corporate loans. It's so much more transparent. And here's the other huge difference: management. Most of those old CDOs were static. You just bought the assets and crossed your fingers. But CLOs are actively managed. You have professionals constantly buying and selling loans to maintain the portfolio's quality. And that is a huge reason why CLOs actually did pretty well, even through crises, and why they're still popular today, while the CDO name is, well, it's pretty much mud.
So here it is, the big takeaway. A CDO, a CLO, at the end of the day, they're just tools. They are structures for slicing up and moving risk around. The structure itself isn't good or bad. It all comes down to the quality of the stuff you put inside the box. So now that you understand how the machine is built, you can ask the most important question of all about any of these products. Where is the risk really hiding? Thanks for joining us.